Public Q&A presents AskReddit question. What film role was 100% perfectly cast? R. Lee Ermey in Full Metal Jacket. Pam Ferris as Trunchbull in Matilda. I remember seeing an interview or behind-the-scenes video where she stayed in character even during filming breaks, so that the children's fear of her would be more genuine. Web address. It's because she is like Miss Honey in real life. Everyone loved her, and the kids didn't want to throw food at her. Ron Perlman was perfect as Hellboy. My dad, over the years, has gone from being mistaken for Tom Selleck to being mistaken for Ron Perlman. Leslie Nelson in Airplane. He had been a serious actor to that point, and they picked him because they wanted someone to play the role 100% straight. It's weird to see how one generation knows him as a serious actor, while another knows him as a comedic actor. I have talked about that with my grandma a couple times. Same with John C. Reilly. Kathy Bates in Misery. Her American Horror Story characters have been amazing also. I really liked her as Jo Bennett in The Office, too. Maybe she's just a good actor. No, that can't be it. John Candy as Uncle Buck. Obligatory upvote for anything John Candy. Such great memories of childhood films and apparently, one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. Oh, and let's not forget the great outdoors. His performance in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is an all-time great. Two scenes stand out for me that showcase how amazing John Candy is. The first is that scene where Steve Martin is at his wit's end at the end of the first day and starts yelling at John Candy's character about how he never shuts up. At first, you're laughing. Steve Martin really kind of has a point. But he just keeps on going, and you see John Candy being a sport about it at first, and before long the joy just leaves his face, and he starts looking serious. And then you just feel terrible that Martin just completely broke Candy's heart. It's a rare serious moment in a movie that's basically a comedy, and it just turns on a dime due to how well that scene is acted. The other scene is that one where they're driving the car at night, and the Ray Charles song Mess Around comes on the radio. Pure physical comedy by John Candy. I like to imagine the director just turning him loose and saying go for it in that scene, and he fucking does. It's such a wonderful moment. For me it's Cool Runnings as IRV Blitzer. The amount of emotion he can invoke while still being that sarcastic, crass guy is amazing. A gold medal is a wonderful thing. But if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. To piggyback Thomas F. Wilson as the many versions of Biff Tannen, Griff, and Mad Dog Tannen. He's one of the great 80s villains, and also his choices just fit perfectly in the tone and world they built. He's especially good in Part 3. He is criminally underrated when it comes to his role in the success of the trilogy. He could have just played the same character each time, but Biff, Griff, and Mad Dog are believable as different people. I also love his older Biff. Always felt that older and old Biff were sort of aware that reality had changed around him, seeing the DeLorean fly off likely triggering something, and you could feel that in his performance. You've just described an observation about Biff for which I have never had the words. That look of consternation as he's foiled time and time again, the confused awareness something isn't right. And that's why he just accepts that Doc Brown has a time machine without even questioning it. He doesn't hear them talking and go, man, that geezer is so crazy. He's like, oh. Well, that explains things. That's because in many respects Biff is more than just a character that Marty and Doc Brown foil. He's literally a cosmic force. One that is a steady constant across all timelines and periods. Something that is more than just a man but rather an energy always pushing back against Marty. Which is why no matter what version of Biff that Marty encounters, Biff immediately doesn't like him. His very presence an endless disruption to Biff's existence. A sort of karmic déjà vu that Biff is always just aware of enough to detect but not understand what it means. Sigourney Weaver in Alien. The Princess Bride. As I recently watched the cast reading, I was reminded how perfect they were. I would call out everyone who was particularly awesome, but then this comment would never end. That being said, Mandy Patinkin deserves some award for that performance. Rob Reiner does an impressive Peter Falk impression, and I would still ride away into the sunset with Carrie Elwes any day. ETA. Thank you for all the awards. I tried to send thank you replies to everyone earlier, but my iPad had a tizzy, and some may have not gone through. Carrie Elwes' book on the making of the movie is fantastic, the audiobook even better, as the players read and tell stories of how it came together. The tales of Andre are great, and you get a sense of how much everyone loved him. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. No one could ever compare. I listened to a podcast called The Beetlejuice Minute, where each episode covered a minute of the movie. It really opened my eyes to how incredibly talented Michael Keaton is as an actor. My personal favorite moment is when he says he wants to get out and Lydia replies that she wants to get in. There's a split second where his showman facade drops and he says, "Why?" It's so subtle and I never noticed it before. This is heartbreaking because he was Juno's assistant, which means he killed himself. You can see on his face the confusion and horror at this teenage girl wanting to die. Low-key, this is one of my favorite moments of the film. He is so entirely blown away by the idea that someone would actually want to die that for a moment he completely drops all pretense and is left completely befuddled. It's a great scene against suicide, which says a lot more than the single word Keaton utters. You might not like how things are going, but nothing truly ends. Maybe things do for you, maybe they don't. I'm not going to get into a theological discussion here, but life is going to continue without you, and others will live with your actions, even if you don't. It's a rational question pushed up against an irrational idea, coming from a character with first-hand experience which knows better, and it's absolutely brilliant. Bruce Campbell as Ash. Hail to the king, baby. Eddie Murphy in Coming to America, firstly as Prince Hakeem, but the other characters he played including Sexual Chocolate's Randy Watson, the guy at the barbershop wears the soup, and others. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck you. Who's next? Classic. Bryan Cranston as Walter White. Both him and Aaron Paul were made to play those characters. Aaron Paul was so good that it changed the story. Jesse was going to be killed off in S1. I didn't know that, and it's probably one of my favorite performances of all time. I used to work with kids in their late teens with substance abuse issues, and I cried my eyes out in a couple scenes, because of the amazing job Aaron Paul does of showing how kind and decent a person Jesse is. He tries so hard to do better, and there's so much pulling him back. I have worked with so many young people like that, and Aaron Paul absolutely nails it. How he can perfectly portray Walter White and how, the complete opposite ends of the spectrum, is amazing. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. Foot. Liver and fava beans. Yum. And a nice Chianti. J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. So good they cast him twice. 3 times. He even voiced Jameson in Ultimate Spider-Man. They just started shaking a comic book, and he fell right out. And not a film role but Cave Johnson as well. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Get mad. Make life take the lemons back. Demand to see Life's manager. J.K. Simmons as Fletcher in Whiplash. J.K. Simmons in anything. J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson. James Earl Jones' voice as Darth Vader. To add on to that, his voice as Mufasa. Can we just agree that his voice is perfect? Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I couldn't imagine Temple of Doom existing if Tom Selleck got the job for Raiders. Imelda Stanton as Umbridge. Got to hand it to her for such a good performance that it made the entire fandom hate the character. If the movie were a live theatrical performance, during her bow she absolutely would have received the ultimate compliment a crowd can give for a villain performance, to be booed. Did they? Not already. I agree 100%, she gives a brilliant performance. But the character was hardly likable in the books. It comes up less often, but at the time, I thought Alfred Molina, as Doc O.C., was one of the best cast and played comic book movie villains I would ever seen. I Will Not Die a Monster. Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. Richard Attenborough. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Terminator. Edit. Holy shit, this is my highest voted post, and I have never gotten so many awards before. Thanks, everyone. Fun fact. James Cameron originally wanted Lance Henriksen as the Terminator and Schwarzenegger as Kyle Reese. He also wanted O.J. Simpson to play the Terminator in the first movie. But when O.J. auditioned for the role, James Cameron thought he was too friendly and nice to accurately portray a killing machine like the T-800. I just can't see O.J. as a killer. I need your coat, your boots, your motorcycle, and your glove. Neither can he. Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. He tried to decline the role. Said it was too dark for him. Then complained about losing any chance of getting laid if he got the Anton Chigurh haircut. Edit. Spelling is hard. Coen brothers know how to cast. Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall in the HP series, person raising both hands in celebration. Maggie Smith as the Dowager Countess. Maggie Smith as fucking anything. She's just glorious. I remember reading that she isn't too fond of being praised for her performance of McGonagall. Says that she didn't have to work for it, as it came too naturally. That's exactly why she's perfect. Reading the books again, and Maggie Smith is almost like someone pulled her character out of the book, made her real, and that's how she came to be. Or the woman who played Umbridge. Creepy. Evanna Lynch as Luna Lovegood. Yeah, she did the lost but not lost feeling I get from Luna in the books very well. I once described Luna as down to earth. Just not our Earth. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp absolutely carried that franchise. Viggo Mortensen also. Robin Williams as the genie. If I am not mistaken, the genie was actually written with him in mind. He was hesitant to take the role, so they had animators knock up some scenes using voiceovers from his stand-up gigs. He agreed for a low price $75,000, on the condition that Genie wouldn't be used to sell merchandise. Disney did it anyway, which is why he no longer voiced Genie. He did return for King of Thieves after an apology and asking price of $1 million. Dan Castellaneta played Genie in Return of Jafar and the TV series. Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister. Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. My favorite part about that character is that Bale admitted that it was more or less him doing an impression of real-life Tom Cruise the entire time, and after learning that I can't unsee it. There's actually a great part in the book where Patrick Bateman gets in an elevator with Tom Cruise, and keeps trying to talk to him while Tom blows him off. Bateman has an existential crisis over the moment. Michael Clarke Duncan as John Coffey in The Green Mile. Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. Anthony Starr as Homelander. I am so uneasy every time he's on screen. That scene on the plane in the first season is chilling. That scene in the latest episode, which turned out to be just him imagining it. Holy. I was like, that's how terrifyingly easy it is for him. He's incredible as Homelander, truly fucked up and terrifying. Anytime he's in a scene with someone, I fear for their life. Laser my tits. She disappeared about 40 years ago in universe. Homelander's about 40. She's his mom. Calling it now. Oh my god, yes. Ew. But yes. So do you think that would make him more or less into her? What if I do something like this? Proceeds to deaf an Asian blind guy. Yeah, that was actually diabolical. Like, truly fucked up, and I totally expected it, but it still horrified me, and made me pause the video for a little while. Yeah, that was brutal. Anytime he's not in a scene with someone, I fear for their life also. He's delightfully terrifying. He just oozes with sugar-coated restrained psychosis. You can tell that the only thing that keeps anyone around him alive is his need for adulation. All the actors on The Boys are Amazon, but Starr stands above them all. He plays psychotic, messed up, childish, insane so perfectly. Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean is on top. Johnny English is more of another kind of Bean. I believe the character of Mr. Bean was originally created by Rowan Atkinson. I am not sure how many changes were made to the character for the show, but it's less of a good casting choice, and more of Rowan Atkinson really understanding himself. I believe he created the character while getting his master's degree in engineering. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier and Ian McKellen as Magneto. Michael Fassbender as young Magneto is perfect. One of the things that makes him so interesting in the role is his accent. Michael Fassbender is Irish, but he also speaks German fluently. His father, I think, is German-born, and he spent time in Germany growing up. While playing Magneto, the way he says some words when he's speaking English makes him sound like someone whose first language was not English, as Magneto's speech would probably realistically sound at that point in his life. I found as first class went on he started to slip into Irish, especially when he's giving his speech on the beach. Their interplay is on point too. They fit those roles together so perfectly. Tim Curry as Frank Enfurter. Tim Curry as Darkness in Legend. Tim Curry as the butler in Clue. Tim Curry as Hexus in Fern Gully. Tim Curry as Pennywise in IT. Tim motherfucking Curry. Etc. ad nauseum. Creed Bratton as Creed Bratton. Nobody steals from Creed Bratton and gets away with it. The last person to do this disappeared. His name. Creed Bratton. John Malkovich in Being John Malkovich. Malkovich, Malkovich. Malkovich, Malkovich, Malkovich. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He earned it too. He would go off by himself and scream at the top of his lungs to get his voice hoarse to the point where he could pull off sounding like Shaggy. Imagine it's your first day at a catering company. You know you're going to work at the film studio, and you're pretty psyched. After all, how often do you get to have a day like that? You're out back setting up in the parking lot when out of a back door comes Shaggy. Hey! You think you love Scooby-Doo. You and your dad used to watch it all the time. This must be the guy that plays Shaggy. Maybe you can just for a second go over and tell him how cool it is to see Shaggy IRL. Then Shaggy faces the open parking lot and screams bloody murder. You feel the color drain from your face. Shaggy screams and screams until his voice goes hoarse, then goes inside. You quit that day. Maybe Hollywood isn't for you. That was perfect. When I first saw him as Shaggy, my jaw dropped. Perfect match. Jim Carrey, The Mask. 1990 for Jim Carrey was on another level. Ace Ventura, Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Harold Ramis as Egon Spengler. Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastard. Oh. That's a bingo. Am I saying that right? That's a bingo. You just say bingo. Bingo. How fun. Fassbender was really good as well. Well, if this is it, old boy, I hope you don't mind if I go out speaking the kings. There's a special rung in hell reserved for those that waste good scotch. Seeing as how I may be rapping on the door momentarily, I must say, damn good stuff, sir. That whole scene is a masterpiece of building and executing tension. I have had a gun pointed at your balls since the moment you sat down. Stiglitz takes out gun and shoved it in his crotch. That makes 3 of us, and at this range I am a real Frederick Zoller. Say Auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi balls. He was perfect in that movie. The intro scene especially. That intro felt like someone standing on your chest the whole time. Pretty sure every scene with Landa in the movie, except the very last one, felt like that. And that's a sign of great writing and a great actor coming together to make something that will stick with you long after the credits roll. He's amazing in the opening, but Imo the farmer steals that scene. Seeing him come to the realization that he's caught and has to sell out the family, his eyes slowly filling with tears. It's just a one acting. Both of their faces are incredible in the moment that the subterfuge is over. The little grin falls off of Landa's face, and Lapidi starts weeping. You are sheltering enemies of the state, are you not? We should all take the time to remember that the movie almost had been scrapped because Tarantino found nobody to play the role of Landa, and then Waltz walked in and Tarantino was almost immediately convinced that this guy was perfect for the role. I think he also only agreed to do the film if the character had no redeeming qualities. If he was going to play a Nazi, he wanted to portray them negatively. I just love how he won every single award possible that year. He probably won Best Cooked Pasta Dish of the Year just for that role. Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, Sir Christopher Lee as Saruman, Billy Boyd as Pippin, Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Add Andy Serkis as Gollum. Before his audition take, Gollum was going to be a voiceover-only character. Serkis barely counts. If he read out his shopping list, it'd still be an award-winning performance. Did you mean to say the entire fucking cast and crew? Peter Jackson as Guy eating carrot. I could not imagine a better Galadriel than Cate Blanchett, either. I remember hearing the casting announcements as they were coming out, as someone who had read the books 1,000 times, and thinking every one of the picks was perfect. Christopher Lee was so perfect as Saruman that it's shocking to think Tolkien wanted him to play Gandalf. He probably would have been a good Gandalf, but McKellen killed it. I love how McKellen could capture the stodgy grumpiness, the power, and the gentle friendship of the role. Pretty much all of the Lord of the Rings cast, to be honest. I mean, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Many people are perfect casts, but few edge out any competition that it's impossible to see anyone else playing the character. When I first saw him, I was like, no way, he's too tall and skinny. Didn't take long for me to revise that opinion. Didn't he dress up as Wolverine and walk around at a comic con? Then some dude was like, nice costume buddy, but you're too tall. The camera adds 12 inches. Everyone in The Big Lebowski. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. Audrey Hepburn as Holly Golightly. Though not all the casting in that movie was necessarily the best. Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Barbossa was also perfectly cast. Imo. Jack Sparrow doesn't shine without a good, well-written villain. One of the things that's missing from more recent films. They keep getting good actors to play the villain, Ian McShane, Javier Bardem, but then severely underutilize their characters. Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden, Edward Norton as the narrator, and Helena Bonham Carter as Marla Singer in Fight Club. But mostly Brad Pitt as Tyler. Helena Bonham Carter goes so hard on all her roles. Such an iconic woman. Jack Black in School of Rock. LOTR. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. I know Christopher Lee really wanted the role, but I don't think he would have nailed the wholesome and hopeful aspects of the character the way McKellen did. That being said, Lee was an excellent for Saruman. Dwight in The Office. Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. Aside from the fact that he was 20 years too old, and they had to adapt many other cast members to his age, Sirius, Lupin, Peter Pettigrew, James and Lily. All these people were supposed to be in their 30s during the events of the books. James and Lily were born in 1960, they're only 21 years older than Harry. And Sirius, Lupin, Pettigrew and Snape were in the same year as them at Hogwarts. Imagine being such a terrific actor you can be 20 years older than the character you play, and not only get away with it, but inadvertently influence 5 future casting choices. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. The fact that he was auditioning as Thor, and instead cast as Loki, is such a perfect setup as Loki's need for worth. David Hasselhoff as David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. Malcolm McDowell in A Clockwork Orange. Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there, General Kenobi. Keanu Reeves as John Wick. Keanu Reeves as Neo. Heath Ledger as the Joker. It's still amusing to think back on the outcry from some people when he was cast. Wow! You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon so you won't miss any future uploads.